Lo chu sambo pa gyu tra shi pa tu che tempe chin le yar ngo da pelge drolor zambe ze par che pal den la me shabla solva de Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sar Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanek Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Shasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi ya jetsun lama tuje che nyamda dala tuje sikso so gebe shesan dala tendo so uyon sunge nawa tsedo so tseche nyingne solwa debe tse dejen korlo visu lekshu ne yila sambe deden malupa geme lunge drubra jinge lo tsoni sodan dikdun shabe tse Dunge namke yin su lekshu ne labchen tsonyi yon su zopa dang Chera nye dun changwara jingi lo chanchu pargi nyinsen tukun tu Nye peme siu dru lek chanchu drube gegen kunshi shi Tungen dela drubra jingi loba dagi lona chela chokpa dang Chemin samchur ngenpa shiwad Chedan tumbe dödön malupa bemel hünge drubra chingil Dorna tengne tsiraba tamchedan techi pardu negav tamchetu Rese kyamne lama keleme tukje chingi dala siksuso Gongyab drewe nyamda dachala jetsun lame tuje rabgongne Kudan sungi nawa dralme tu nyamsu nyongwe kesan toprasho Kewa kundu yanda lama dan rame cheki pe la long che chi sadan lamge yunten rabzun dorje changi kopa nyur tobe shoya pakyu ke kudan dagi olu ke sundan dagi nga pakyu ke tukdan dagi yi ten yerme çıktı çingi alo ama köke kudan dagi lo ma kyo ke sungdan dagi nga ma kyo ke tön yerme çıktı çingi lo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Sashipeke choshiameto tamare ravalingashi nidegempadi sange shinto mikte ulvarki drokunnam dashin chöpar shoyedam guru ratna mindrala kam niryatayami Sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira sangye drupar sho sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani Dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchra sangye drupar shua sangye chedan tsogi chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi chushe gibe sonam pinchra sangye drupar shua Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni. Possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment through the practice of generosity and the other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Aye ke da ludan nejin ke drupon da mi ke namda drowa kuin ge danam che tsampa tamche ke to dagi chue ten to tamche ke to dagi chue ten to Buongiorno. Good morning. How often has it happened for you that you say, yes, I understood something, but yet I cannot put it into practice? How often it happens that you say, yes, I know that I shouldn't get angry, but it happens. I know that it's not good for me to act selfishly, but it happens. I know that jealousy is really harmful, but I get jealous. And so and so and so and so on. I know that I shouldn't eat too much sugar, but I eat sugar. I know that I shouldn't do this. I know that I should do that, but I am not able to do. Okay, we can make a long list for many of us. And here there are two questions that come. And one question is why we are attracted by the things that are harmful to us. This is one question. And the other question is why we are not able to do things once we understand them. Okay? I was thinking just to talk about the second question, but I would just go briefly on the first. We work based on habits. This is one thing. Both our body and our mind are made out of habits. So once we are trained to react in a certain way, we are trained to live in a certain environment, we are basically attracted to that type of reaction and to that type of environment. And if we imagine something that is perfectly in balance, okay, the strength, the force, goes towards balance. In the moment it goes out of balance, the force goes towards out of balance. Okay? So one friend doctor in Spain, he said to me, when a patient comes, the first thing that I ask the patient is, what is the food that you like eating the most? And he gave me the example, if the patient tells me it's watermelon, I say the first thing to the patient, stop eating watermelon. I don't know even why. I haven't checked if watermelon is really good or bad for that patient. But when we are sick, we are attracted by the things that make the sickness stronger. When we are in conflict, we are attracted by a behavior that makes the conflict stronger. When we are sad, we are attracted by things that make the sadness stronger. Or not? We are sad, and it's not like, I am sad, so so we are attracted by joyful things. No. We are sad, and then we are always, because of this, and then we get stronger to the things that makes the sadness even stronger. So basically, the concept is very simple. For me, I have this image. When we are in balance, we are attracted by things that keep us in balance. In the moment that we go out of balance, we are attracted by that which takes us out of balance. So, theoretically, if I am getting out of balance, where do I need to put my strength? In the opposite direction. There which is not easy. So I feel sad, I need to put energy in joy. I need to acknowledge the sadness, but I need to put energy in the opposite. Yesterday we talked about the antidote, the other side. I am in a situation with a person, there is a conflict, I need to put energy in finding a point of meeting with the person, of connection, of trust, of friendship, not going on the conflict. okay? Unless I want to make the conflict stronger. That's another choice, okay? So this is one point. Second part, because today I don't want to go too much around. We have many things to see. Why do we understand things and yet we are not able to do them? The answer is quite simple. We are made out of habits. And the habits are not on a conceptual level. We have also conceptual habits, but they are mostly much deeper than the conceptual level. We have emotional habits, we have physical habits, we have mental habits, we have, perception habits, we have imprints, which are predisposition, which are stronger. Perception habits are basically, we grow up and we experience a certain type of context and environment, and we just think that we are used to see things in that way and to experience that type of reality, okay? So, when a habit is very strong, even though we understand it, we were not able to act differently, because when we are in front of situations in life, we act not out of understanding, but out of habit. Okay? So, the understanding is just like holding the reins of a horse and giving the direction. Depends how strong we are able to hold. Sometimes we forget it. Sometimes we give little direction, then the horse goes back, you know. So, Buddha Shakyamuni described a very clear pathway to solve this problem. You know? The whole process on the path to enlightenment, Buddha described 3 steps, which are actually very powerful steps that we can apply in our life on many, many different things. From a simple diet to the path to enlightenment. Okay? And this in Tibetan is called Te Sam Gom Sum. Tepa, Sampa, Gompa. Tepa means to listen. Sampa means to comprehend. Gompa means to familiarize. Okay? So let's start with the example of the diet. Let's say I know that I need to do a diet, so I go to the doctor. I'm not feeling well. And I go to the doctor because I have a lot of anxiety. And I don't feel so well, I feel tired, I feel anxiety, I cannot sleep well, and so on, whatever reasons. So I go to the doctor, and the doctor looked at me, and finally the doctor said, look, you know, you need to have a diet with less sugar, and you need to eat in a different way. So the doctor gave us a diet. Okay, look, like for me it happens once, I had problems with digestion, and the doctor gave me, the same doctor that talked about the watermelon. He said to me, try to cut for 6 months' time any flour. No? And sugar and flour. So I said, okay, I did. It worked. So let's say we go to the doctor says, look, you cannot eat any more flour and you cannot eat any more sugar. What we have mostly in our culture? Flour and sugar, it's everywhere, okay? And if you add like me, that I cannot eat cheese and lactose, and I don't eat meat, so the situation gets a little bit more complicated, but that's okay, you know? I simply learned on that. The solution for me was the very simple question. Why do I eat? I eat because I like, or I eat because I need? Personally, I eat because I need, because if there was the possibility not to eat at all, I think it would be so nice. How much energy we spend for eating. We need to work to buy the food, then need to cook, then need to eat, then need to clean the dishes, then need to have all the problems with the digestion, then have everything connected. There is a lot connected with this. So if there was no need to eat, it would be wonderful. So why do I eat? Because I want or because I need? Because I need. So if I eat because I need to eat what I need or what I want? I need to eat what I need. Simple as that. Finish. No more discussion. But I like that. Doesn't matter. I'm not eating what I want. I'm eating what I need. This is what was the key for me. When I turned this key, then was okay. So it's not a sacrifice, not eating what I want. Because I am not giving up anything good. I'm just taking care of myself. Okay, this is another subject. So let's try to apply these three things in a diet. So I go to the doctor said, oh, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat that, blah, 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 blah. Okay. First step, listening. I listen to the doctor's advices. I read about the diets that I need to follow. I acquire information about the diet. So I understand how the diet should be done and so on. Okay? Once I had a clear understanding about the diet, I know well what I need to eat, what I should avoid eating, and why, how. I understood it. I completed the part of listening. Listening can be done by actual listening or by reading. Okay? Next step, I need to do the part of comprehending. Comprehension is the moment in which I don't keep only the knowledge, I need to understand it. I need to go deeper. I need to make sure that that understanding is not a repetition that someone told me, but is my own understanding. So I go and I study better that diet, I discuss with other people, I understand what effect it takes on the body and the mind, what is the relation between the sugar and the anxiety and here and there, and I connect all this together, and I see that because I eat too much flour, I get inflammation, and then the inflammation makes me nervous because this and that, I can connect everything, okay? I complete the process of comprehending when the understanding of that whole diet is not something that I am repeating because someone told me, but I have my full understanding about it. Okay? It becomes my knowledge, not the repetition of the knowledge of someone. It's clear. Okay? Because what happens is that if I try to follow the diet only by listening to it and not comprehending it, sometimes, some moments, someone else will come and give me a different idea. No, this diet is not good because of this, because of that. How many diets exist? One person will say you need to eat sugar, someone will say you don't need to eat sugar, whatever, okay? So, if I don't have a real comprehension about it, someone will tell me something in a convincing way and it's difficult to follow that diet, I change. Once I have a deep comprehension about it, it becomes very difficult for me to change idea unless I am truly convinced. Okay? So this is the second step. We need to comprehend. We need to have our own clear, logical understanding. If we use a philosophical term for that, is when we develop a valid inferential cognition in relation to our object of perception. Inferential cognition is an understanding through logical reasoning. So it's not something because, and the first one, when we complete listening, we develop a correct assumption. Which means I know that I should follow this, I trust this diet. Why? Because someone told me, and I trust it. So this is a correct assumption on the first level. Second level, it's a valid cognition, inferential cognition. I have a clear understanding about it. It's my own understanding. Okay? Third, I need to apply in my daily life the diet. Okay? And the more I am able to apply the diet, the more I get used to that diet. And this is the third step, which is the step of familiarization. Okay? Familiarization is done in two steps, two different parts. There is one part of familiarization, which is basically repeating and putting into practice the diet. I am familiarizing myself with it. And the other part is because, let's say that most of the time I'm able to follow the diet. But what when I go to a particular situation, when I go to see my father or mother or auntie or who knows whom, And then they prepare the family tradition sweet. And they have eaten this for generations. And then there is the auntie, the old grandma that is there and saying, oh, I prepared with so much care, I took a week to do this. I went myself to catch the strawberries, and here it is, and the wheat is from our village, and I did it myself, the flour, and I prepared everything for you, and it's here and there, and this has been a symbol of love towards our families since so many generations, and here I have prepared it for you so kindly. Is it more difficult to keep the diet in that moment? Yes, no? So what do we do? If we do not prepare ourselves, we will not keep the diet in that moment. So how we prepare ourselves? We imagine. We sit down, bring our mind to a stable moment, like through the 9 cycle breathings. Then we go first through an analytical meditation. Why I need to follow this diet? Which basically is, we imagine as if we are convincing someone of why the diet is important. Let's say we need to imagine that we are convincing. So we'll give the whole reasoning to the person. Like it's to ourselves, but we go through the process, okay? So we say, yes, this diet is important because if you continue to eat such amount of sugar, your body is not able to elaborate it and it's not able to metabolize all of this, and then this brings this sickness and that. But if you start eating a little bit, then automatically you will go and you will eat more, so you need to have a very strong way of not eating at all, blah, 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 blah. You go to the whole conclusion until you're able to get to the conclusion which says, I should respect by all means, whatever situation, I must follow this diet. We get to the conclusion. Once the conclusion is strongly within us, we take the part of our logical reasoning and we put it aside. We bring back the attention to our breath. And then we imagine the difficult situation. We imagine ourselves going to the house of the grandma that prepares that nice sweet with a lot of sugar and flour, and have all of that, and also it has milk in it also. So like everything. Actually, it's more difficult if it has only one thing. Huh? But anyhow, it has like something that we really, then we go there and we imagine that situation. We are in front of it and we imagine ourselves there, And we allow ourselves to have that grasping for that sweet because we really like it. And we allow our own mind to enter into all the justification. Oh, yes, because I need to make my grandma happy. I know that I shouldn't eat it. Oh, but, I cannot be so selfish that I don't eat it. I need to allow her. I will not make her to be hurt. I don't want to hurt my grandma, and this and that. And in this moment, we apply the logic of before. But we need to allow the attachment to come, the wish to eat to come. And then we apply the logic. And once we apply that understanding, until the moment that we are able, in visualization, not to eat, and still to find a solution to be kind and nice to the grandma and help and to do it in a nice way. Okay? And we need to repeat this again and again and again and again and again. If you repeat it, let's say 21 times, when you will be with the grandma, it will be easier. When we imagine something, for our mind, it's as if we are experiencing it. So what happens is that when I imagine something, and after I am in a situation, what I imagined and I experienced through imagination is not logical understanding, is experience. So I have the reference of that experience. I don't know if this is clear. Okay? So this is the process of familiarization. Okay. Is the 3 steps clear? And then there is the 4th part, which is realization. When do we realize the diet? When we follow it without thinking. It's spontaneous. Okay? Now, let's go to something a bit deeper.
Sometimes, as we follow the teachings, there are some concepts and understandings and states of consciousness, let's say like this, that we look at it and we say, oh, how wonderful would it be? But there is very specific steps to follow. Okay? And it's a matter of following or not. So yesterday we talked a lot about the understanding of the correct view of reality, so-called shunyata, emptiness, which is, we talked about how our ignorance is the root that generates selfishness, that generates anger, jealousy, envy, and so on, that generates our suffering and so on. Okay, we went through this yesterday. Now, the process of realizing the true nature of reality, the process of realizing emptiness, and so generating the antidote for our ignorance, it is something that has the same 3 steps. Okay? So first step is listening. And we conclude listening when we develop what is called Töchung Gesherab, which is the wisdom of listening. Okay? Then there is the wisdom of comprehending, and then there is the wisdom of meditating in order to reach the realization. So let's see how this applies in relation to emptiness, which is very important. So first, Geshe Shewanchuk, one of my gurus of Lama Michel Rinpoche also, he gave one example in one of his books in which he says, imagine that there is someone that is stealing. Okay? There is someone that is a thief, is stealing things. And let's call this person that is stealing name, let's call Devadatta, okay? So let's say Devadatta is stealing. The fact that I know Devadatta doesn't mean that I know who is the robber, right? Who is the thief. In order for me to know who is the thief, I need to make the connection. Devadatta is stealing. And this doesn't mean that I have catched him yet. Okay? So I can know Devadatta very well, but this doesn't mean that I know the thief. I know the thief in the moment that I look and I say, Devadatta is stealing. Then after that, I need to go through the whole process of how to prove it and how to catch him. Then I catch the thief. Okay? And just one example came to my mind, but no need. So, the first step is we need to see ignorance. Okay, in Tibetan we call Gakchang Munzing. And Shantideva in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara said, Takpe ngola marek par te ngöme zin maing. Without entering in contact with the designated object, it's not possible to apprehend its known existence. Takpe ngola marek par te ngöme zin maing. Without entering in contact with the designated object, it's not possible to apprehend its known existence. For example, is there a pink elephant in this room? Yes or no? Are you sure? Sure there is no pink elephant here? And a white elephant? Is there a white elephant here? Is that an elephant? Or is it a statue of an elephant? I'm talking about an elephant, not a statue. Huh? Okay? So is there an actual, physical elephant in this room? No. Are you sure about it? Yes. Why are you sure that there is no elephant in this room? What gives you such certainty? Okay. Can we imagine how it would be if an elephant would be here? Have you ever seen an elephant before? Yes. You know this room. So can you put the two concepts together, elephant and this room? Yes. So we are able to imagine how would it be if an elephant would be here. I think if there would be an elephant here, we would all see it, right? I'm not asking if there is an ant in this room. I'm asking if there is an elephant, right? So the reason why we can say there is no elephant is because we can imagine how would it be if there would be an elephant here. Now, is there a Shiluma in this room? Shiluma. Is there a Shiluma or not? Yes or no? We don't know. Why you don't know? Because you cannot imagine what is a Shiluma. Shiluma is I like this word, but it's the Tibetan word for cockroach. Okay? Now we ask, is there a cockroach, is there a Shiluma in this room? We would say, hopefully not. Okay? I think not. Okay? So the point is that we are not able to understand the negation of something that we cannot imagine. We can only understand the known existence of something that we can imagine. So, without entering in contact with the designated object, the elephant in this room, is not possible to apprehend its known existence. Is this clear? Okay? So, in order for me to be able to have a clear negation of something, I need to be able to imagine the opposite affirmation. Okay. So, when we talk about the correct view of reality, the first step, which is the process of listening, it is called recognizing the object of negation. Okay? I know it may seem a bit technical, but it's important. It's called Gakcha Munzing in Tibetan, which is called recognizing the object of negation. Because you remember yesterday we made this sort of diagram in which we put on top one object, which we call Tongshi Chuchin in Tibetan, which is the basis of emptiness, which we could say, okay, myself, my sensation, the sound. Let's say the sound of the bell is of inherent existence as it appears. The sound of the bell is not of inherent existence as it appears. Okay? But if I have the sound is and the sound is not, but I don't know what is behind here, I cannot understand both the affirmation and the negation. So if I try to focus on the negation, the sound is not, the sound is not, the sound is not, but it's not what I don't know, then we don't understand anything. And we end up thinking that the sound doesn't exist because the sound is not, or the sound is empty. And one of the big mistakes that happens when going through understanding emptiness is that we focus that the sound is empty, the sound is of the nature of emptiness, and we focus on the empty, 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 but we don't even think about empty of what? Because they say, is this, okay, it's a bit heavy, but let me try. Is this full or is it empty? Okay, question. Is that singing bowl empty? Yes or no? Are you sure? If the singing bowl is empty, aeroplanes cannot fly. Because there is nothing to hold the aeroplane on the air. Is there air inside here? Yes, so is it empty? No. Is the singing bowl empty of milk? Yes. Is it empty of some solid material? Yes. Is it empty of liquid? Is it empty of air? No. So it's very important to understand that whenever there is a negation, there is an object of negation. Whenever we say something is empty, it must always be empty of something. And another very important thing, in the moment that I say that the bell is empty, I am saying also that the bell exists, because the bell cannot be empty if it doesn't exist. Is this clear? So when I say phenomena are of the nature of emptiness, phenomena are empty, means first thing phenomena do exist, because they cannot be empty if they don't exist. And this is very important, because very often there is this danger of going into nihilism field, in which you say, oh, phenomena are empty, so they don't exist. This is the mistake where you look at this sort of equation and you forget the part down, and you just say, the sound, the bell is empty, is empty, is empty, and you forget to say empty of what. Okay? So the key first is we need to see the object of negation. And what the object of negation is the object of affirmation, because it's the object of affirmation of ignorance, is the object of negation of wisdom. I don't know, is this clear? Okay, we have the sound. Down is, what if we put below? The object of affirmation of ignorance. The sound is of inherent, autonomous, objective existence. The wisdom will say the sound is not of inherent, objective, autonomous existence. So it means the same thing becomes the object of affirmation of ignorance and the object of negation of wisdom. Can we understand this clearly? Okay. Now, what do we need to overcome? A conceptual understanding about reality, or our own perception of reality that is wrong? What we need to overcome? It's a matter of philosophical discussion, or is a matter of direct experience and emotions and everything which is connected to our own personal existence? Okay, we are not here to discuss philosophy. We are here to find a way to be better and to help others. So the object of negation is not some philosophical idea. The object of negation is something extremely near to us, and it takes courage to see it. Because to recognize the object of negation, we must allow ourselves to see clearly our own ignorance. And it's only when we see the mode of apprehension of our ignorance, it's only when we see how we do, then that we can say, okay, this is not exactly. But we need to grasp at the object of negation, we need to hold it there. It's like the example that came before to my mind. Once there was a situation of someone that was stealing here in the center. And it happened many times. And many people thought this is the person that is stealing. But no one ever catch the person while stealing. And then, at the time, Lama Michel Rinpoche have his skillful means. He said, okay, I send the person to Nepal. So he paid a ticket for the person to go to Nepal. And many people were saying, okay, the person behaves in a bad way, and what he gets, a prize, why this and that? This is Rinpoche's skillful means. So this person was in Nepal. This boy was there, and then one moment, it happens that someone got something stolen in the house. And then at that time, Jamyang, that arrived yesterday, he went right away to the room and he found the money under the bed of this poor person. So he caught him and he said, okay, now you're out of this house, and so on. And then after, okay, this boy found his own way somehow. But the point is that even though you know, you need to be able to catch it. And when you can catch it, you need to wait and wait, you wait. How do you say in English, flagrante? You need to catch while the crime is being done. Red-handed. It's like, I see this with my dogs, okay? I understood that with the dog, there is one dog, Dana in particular. Sometimes she would destroy some stuff. But I was taught that if you tell the dog that what the dog did is wrong, after it's done, cannot connect the two things. So you need to catch while it's happening. Okay? So you need to catch that moment. With our ignorance, it's similar. It's not a conceptual game of understanding what is inherent existence, and inherent existence doesn't exist, and it's a wrong understanding. Okay, but that's not the real thing. What we need to oppose, what we need to negate, is our own grasping at the appearance of inherent existence. So, there is no hurry to go into emptiness. First, we need to see clearly our own ignorance. Okay? Let's make one example, which is a bit easier. Okay. These flowers here. Can you see these flowers? Yes, no? Okay, now close your eyes. Now open the eyes and look again at the flowers. You can see the flowers again, right? Have the flowers changed or not? No philosophical thought, thinking. Just how you perceive it. The flowers have changed or not? No, sure. For me too. Okay. Now, if we keep looking at the flowers and we keep here, or we come back the next day, is there a moment in which the flowers will get dry and decay and so on, or not? Is it happening in an instant, or is it a gradual process? It's gradual, no? For example, if we had a kind of supervision, that we could go inside and see the minimum details of movement happening in the process of the decaying of the flower. Could we see the change happening? Maybe we take a microscope. If we take a microscope, maybe we can see the change happening right now or not. Maybe, yes, I don't know. Huh? But the point is that the flower is permanent or is in constant transformation impermanent. What is the flower? Permanent or impermanent? It's impermanent. Do we have any doubt about it? Okay, and we don't need to have a PhD in philosophy to understand that the flower is impermanent, right? We can all understand that the flower is in constant change, right? But now, when we look at the flower, we close our eyes and we look again. How does the flower appear to us? As being static without change, or as being in constant transformation? So the flower, even though the flower is impermanent, the flower appears to us as being permanent. Okay? It's not a conceptual thing, huh? Okay? So, how do we relate to the flower? As being impermanent or as being permanent? When we close our eyes, I take out the flowers. Now you will see the flowers again. What flowers you expect to see? Same as before or a little different? So how do you relate to the flowers? As being permanent or impermanent? We relate to the flowers as if the flowers were permanent. That's called ignorance. Okay? Because we grasp at something that doesn't exist. The permanence of the flowers do not exist. But yet it appears as if it was in this way. This is called illusory appearance. The flowers are not an illusion, but the permanence of the flower is an illusion. Is this clear? Okay, the flower itself is not an illusion, but the permanence of the flower is an illusion. But do we see the permanence of the flower as an illusion or as actual reality? As actual reality. This is our ignorance. Okay? The metaphor that is given is this is similar when we are sleeping and we are dreaming and we do not know it's a dream. Okay? We are inside an illusion, but we don't know it's an illusion. That's our ignorance mainly. So the ignorance is the grasping at the permanence. Okay? The appearance as being permanent is called the imprints of ignorance. Okay? So the predisposition of our own ignorance, the imprints of our ignorance, are the fact that the flower appeared to us as being permanent. This is called, this appearance of permanence is called the imprints of ignorance. Okay? Ignorance itself is when we go to that illusional aspect and we say it is true. It is like that. I grasp at the permanence of the flower, which actually doesn't exist. So I relate myself to the flower as if it was permanent. So I get upset when it changes. Okay? We meet a person. Okay? We will see each other tomorrow. Who do we expect to meet? The same person or someone changed? Oh, but you changed. How is that possible? Okay, what alternative did I have? Okay? So it's very important to see. Can you see how reality appears to us as being permanent when actually it's not? Okay? So this is ignorance. So, in this case, what is the object of negation? In other words, the object of affirmation that we need to negate. What is the object of affirmation of ignorance? The flower or the permanence of the flower? The permanence of the flower is the object of affirmation of the ignorance that grasps at permanence when it's not. Okay? So if the object of affirmation of this ignorance is the permanence of the flower, what would be the object of negation of wisdom? The permanence of the flower. So I have the flower, permanent. The flower is permanent. Ignorance. The flower is not permanent. Wisdom. Okay? But where do I need to apply this? For me to say, the flower is impermanent is not enough. We need to catch the object of negation. And the object of negation here is a concept or is a perception. It's a perception. So to do that, we need to sit, meditate, and we need to allow ourselves. We go first, remember what we talked about the diet. So first we go through an analytical meditation, explaining why and how the flower is impermanent. Okay? The definition of impermanent I like very much. In Tibetan, the sound is nice. You can repeat after me. Kechik, kechik, gijikpa. Kechik, kechik, gijikpa. Kechik, kechik, gijikpa. Kechik means instant. Kechik, kechik, from instant to instant. Ki means action. Jikpa means to transform. So that is being transformed, something that is being transformed from instant to instant. So every instant brings transformation. That's impermanent. Impermanent is not something that exists and one day will stop to exist. Impermanence is something that is in constant flow of transformation. Why do things change? What's the reason that a flower changes and transforms? Because it interacts. Wherever there is interaction, inevitably there will be transformation. The only way to stop change is to stop interaction. So for example, if you have a food and you want the food to change less, what do? You put it in the fridge so it has less interaction. Less interaction, less change. Okay? So, first we understand, we listen. Then we go to the process of comprehending impermanence. Okay? Which we're not going to go through all the details now. Then we do the meditation. We need to familiarize ourselves. So, we sit down, we breathe, we request the blessings, and so on. And then we just go through an analytical meditation. And we explain to ourselves, we try to convince someone else why what we see appears as being permanent, but actually it is not. Okay? Up to the point in which we say, but the flower is interacting with the air. It's interacting with so many other things, and where there is interaction, inevitably there will be transformation. So it's not possible for it to be static. Okay? So, once we complete the analytical thought, what we do, we put our analytical mind aside, and then we imagine ourselves in front of the flower, for instance. We imagine ourselves, or we can have a flower and we observe the flower, or we imagine being in front of the flower. The most important thing is that we allow the appearance of permanence to manifest. We close our eyes, we open again, we see what we expect, and we see that the flower actually appears as if it was permanent. And we allow ourselves more and more to see that appearance. And we see that we are there saying, yes, it is like this, we are quite certain about it. We are ready to relate to it as being permanent. And when we see that, we can see clearly the appearance as being permanent. That's when we come and we say, but it is not. We cannot negate the illusion before the illusion is manifested. First, we need to allow it to manifest. Then we can say, oh, but that's not true. Then we can deconstruct it. So first, we allow our mind to grasp, to start seeing the flower as permanent. Then once we get there, the flower is not the object of discussion. What is the object of discussion is permanence or impermanence. So we get to the conclusion that the flower is impermanent. Why? Because it interacts. And then we grab and we stay into this process where we're able to grasp and to feel that the flower is in constant transformation. So it is not static as it appears. Okay? And once we are able to do this again and again and again and again without distraction, there is a moment in which it's like a click, where you can have what is called a direct valid cognition of the impermanence of the flower. When it's not anymore a conceptual understanding, but is a non-conceptual direct experience of the impermanence. That's when you realize the impermanence of the flower. Once you realize the impermanence of the flower, it will be easy to realize the impermanence of everything else. Because, if the flower is impermanent, why the table is not? Okay? But once you realize the impermanence of the flower still appears as being permanent. So you need to realize it again and again. You need to go through this direct experience again and again. And the more we go through the experience, the less that appearance is solid. Okay? Why it still appears as being permanent? Because the imprints are so strong. But we know it's not true. It's similar to the fact of looking at television. When we look at an image, like here, projected at the screen, do we know that that's just dots of light projected into a screen or not? We know or we don't know? Yes, we know. But does it still appear as people talking to us and doing stuff? Yes. And sometimes do we actually grasp at it as being people? Can we feel attachment or aversion, fear, and so on? Look what he's doing, but no one is there. It's just light. Oh, but yet look, we get involved, no? So there is an illusion being created. Okay? So, there is a moment in which we see the illusion, but we know it's not true. And once we get this experience and we repeat it again and again, there is a moment in which you look and you even don't see the illusion anymore, you just see the dots of light. Okay? So, listening, comprehending, and then the most process is familiarizing. We need to familiarize ourselves with what? Not with the concept, but with the state of mind that is the direct antidote to what we want to eliminate. Okay? For example, so how to meditate in impermanence, how to familiarize ourselves with impermanence. First thing, we need to look and find and recognize the grasping at permanence. Can we get this? Okay? Now, the same thing is with emptiness. Exactly the same process. First thing, we need to see how our own mind grasps at being objective, independent, autonomous. So we can take the same example of the flower again. When we look at the flower, how does the flower appear to us? As being interdependent, which means that it depends on causes and conditions, it depends on its own parts to be what it is, it depends also on my own mind that perceives it in what the way it is, and my own mind that perceives its independence of the flower also, so we exist in mutual dependence? Or simply the flower is there and I am here? So the flower appears to us as if it existed in an independent way from us, or not? How does the flower appear to us? As existing in a mutual dependence, or as existing independently from us? How does the flower appear to us? As being objective or subjective? It exists objectively, or not? That's how it appears to us. Okay? Now I'm not going to go again on this type of appearance, what problems it generates, but how do we relate to the flower? As being objective or as being subjective? And we relate to the flower as if it exists as something separate, independent, autonomous. Okay? So, it is very important. First of all, we need truly to allow ourselves to feel and to see this illusion. We need to grasp at it. We need to feel it. One example, which Lama Michel Rinpoche made for me once, gave me. We were in the car coming from Milan. There is a part in the highway where after paying the toll of the highway, the road goes down and then it has a turn to the left before going up again. I just tell this because then when you go there, maybe you remember. So, during that moment, Rinpoche gave me the example. He said, I would just put a little bit more color in the example that Rinpoche gave, okay? He said, let's say you are in front of an object that you like, okay? Let's say you are in a place and there is a part of cloth, let's say a jacket, okay? You are in a shop and you see a jacket and you say, oh, what a beautiful jacket. Oh, I like it. Look at the color and look at the shape. Oh, and the touch of the cloth. Oh, I really like it. No, it's not that I like it, I need it. And then you start imagining, oh, because, I know that next week I need to go to this party or to this event, and in that moment there will be the person to whom I like to show myself in a nice way, so I need to look nice, but I have the other part of the clothes, and I need a nice jacket, and this jacket is fitting well, so it's really an important need. So I really need this jacket, and it's really going to help me into that. And so, why do I want this jacket because the jacket is beautiful, because it's good. It's not because I want, it's because the qualities of the jacket. Can we see that the jacket appears as being inherently good? Okay? Why the jacket is an object of desire? Because I project it or because the jacket is good? How do we perceive it? Because the jacket is really good. So the jacket appears to us as existing as an object of desire by its own characteristics. Okay? It doesn't appear as something as like, I project this and that on the jacket so it appears like that. No, it is. We don't see just as many threads put together into a cloth that was stitched together into parts which I call jacket, and I attribute a certain value to it. How do we see it? As something that is an object of desire by its own characteristics. Can we get that? So there we are, us, we and the jacket, somehow flirting with the jacket, no? Yes, I like to buy, but it's expensive, but here and there we are. And while we are there, the person to whom we like to show ourselves beautiful appears in the shop. So imagine, we are there and the person appears in the shop and see us in front looking at the jacket and look at us and say, oh, hello, you are here, so nice to see you. Oh, yes, we will meet next week in this event. Oh, so good that you will also be there. Then look at the jacket and say, oh, what a terrible jacket. How could someone ever dress with something like this, you know? Some people are really stupid to wear such type of things. And look at the price and look at the quality. It's really a sign of stupidity to buy such type of clothes. Okay? And the person says, okay, goodbye, I need to go. And remain us and the jacket. Is the jacket still an object of desire as before? No. Basically, while we were talking to the other person, someone from the shop came and took away one jacket and put another there, no? Why the jacket changed? Because the value that we attribute changed. But the key here is to see that in the moment that we had the desire, the jacket appears as an object of desire out of its own characteristics, and we believe that the jacket is good, independently of the values that we attribute. The same thing is with the object of anger. The same thing is with the object of fear. The same thing is with everything that we perceive. So, imagine an object of desire for you. Anything. Okay? Imagine yourself in front of this object of desire. And try to observe your own dynamic. Try to observe your own self and see how the object appears to you. Does it appear as existing objectively, autonomously, independently, and as an object of desire? Or it appears as an object of desire based on your own imputation of the value that you attribute to it? How does it appear? Independently, objectively, or interdependently, subjectively? Okay. If you are truly sincere with yourself, you will see that it appears objectively, independently. So once you can grab that, okay, don't let it go, huh? Hold strong into that. You need to hold strong into your illusion. Keep it strongly. Hold strong to your illusion. Because it will somehow escape if you don't hold strong into it. And it's when you hold strong to that illusion, and as you hold it in your hand strongly, you need to deconstruct it and say, that's not true. As you hold on to it, you say, yes, the object does exist, but it doesn't exist in an autonomous way. It exists as I experience it because I give my own values to it. It exists in a mutual dependence within me as an observer, within all the cause and conditions. The object itself, within it, there are infinite opportunities and possibilities within it. And I choose one from infinite possibilities within it. So it doesn't exist as an object of desire by its own characteristics. Okay? And it's difficult to accept it, because then our desire has nowhere anymore to stand. Okay? And then when we look to it, and we see how many possibilities are within that same object. We listen to the sound. That's a bit more difficult. We look at the flowers. How many possibilities are within this object? How many things can it be? 1, 2, 3. Thousands. Countless, right? But what we do is we choose one from the countless possibilities. And we believe that that's the actual reality. So try to look, observe your own object of desire, and see it that what I see is just one of the countless possibilities of that same object. And the difficulty for us to accept it is that right now we are not able to see the object and yet see the countless possibilities within it. In the moment that we take away objective, autonomous existence from the object, we are not able to perceive the object anymore. We cannot put the two things together. Okay? We just go into a total blank. Poof. The only possibility to be able to see the object and at the same time see clearly that it lacks inherent existence, that's being a Buddha. Which is, one day we get there, but right now, unless you are all Buddhas, it's not really possible. So, the step that we do here is just observe your object. Now, okay, we do the exercise in a different way. Put in front of you an object of anger. Any object of anger. Try to imagine something that really makes you angry, okay? Or an object of resentment. Or an object of fear. An object of aversion, anyhow. Put the strong object of anger in front of you. How does it appear? Allow yourself to see it. Don't try not to think too much. Don't analyze too much. Just observe your own dynamic, your own perception. How does that object appear to you? As being an object of anger by its own characteristics, independently, objectively, or as being an object of anger out of the connection between the parts and the whole, out of the interaction that is created, and out of the value that we attribute to it. And is an object of anger as one of the countless possibilities, or it is an object of anger and full stop? How does it appear to us? And if you are able to see it, that, okay, it appears as being an object of anger and full stop, that's what it is, out of its own characteristics, not because I choose it to be an object of anger, it is an object of anger, by all means, and if someone sees it differently, the person is wrong. Okay? If we can see it, that's wonderful. So hold it dearly. Hold to it strongly. Don't let it go. Hold strongly to it. And as you hold strongly to it, you ask yourself, but wait a minute. Does it truly exist in this way? You know? Are there no other possibilities within it? Does this object exist as an object of anger independently of the value that I attribute to it? And I see that no. Actually does not. And so we take out the basis for it to stand on. Okay, and as we take out that base, we say, this object does not exist as it appears. It does exist, but not as it appears. It does not exist in an independent, objective way as an object of anger as I am seeing it. Okay? And once we are able to deconstruct, we just grab and we stay into that conclusion. It doesn't exist independently. We don't need to ask what it is then. We just say it is not as it appears. It doesn't exist out of its own characteristic. It is not like that. And we just grab and we stay into that conclusion. Okay? We allow our mind to rest into this conclusion. My object of anger, it's empty of an inherent existence. It's empty of existing by its own characteristics and so on. Okay. Once we can do that, then we are meditating on emptiness. Okay. It's quite important that to see that once we are able to see the object of negation, which is our own grasping at inherent existence, and we can find our ignorance more easily connected to our attachment and aversion. Desire, when we're in front of an object of desire or in front of an object of anger, it's easier to see the object of negation. It's easier to see our own ignorance. And once we are that, and once we can see it, then we really need to hold strongly into it. Because that's the basis for us to deconstruct it, for us to eliminate it. Okay? And this is called recognizing the object of negation, and it's one of the most important parts in relation to the process of realizing the true nature of reality. And again, we're not talking about deconstructing a philosophical thought. We are talking about deconstructing our own perception of reality. No? And there is one point also into it. It is said that the levels of realization of emptiness, in the beginning at least, they are seen by the amount of fear that we have of emptiness. Because when we put ourselves in front of our object of attachment or our object of anger, and we see how it appears as being something solid, independent, okay? Because in our own way of relating to reality, do we look for, stability, and we look for our own certainty in the world around us or not? And what happens when actually we understand that reality is not as stable and as fixed as it appears to us? You know, my objects of attraction, aversion, fear, jealousy, or whatever are just as they are based on the values that I am attributing to it. So what is the truth? Can this shake us? Can we come to the question, and what am I? Do I exist? Because when we think me, let's say we are walking on the road and someone starts shouting, "You are a liar. You're a terrible person because of this or that." Someone talks badly about us. Okay, even right now, imagine that someone come, or even me, I point the finger to you and I start telling terrible things about you. Do you get hurt? Me? I didn't do that. I am not that. We get me. Where is this me? What am I? Yesterday we made a question. Do you have a body? What is our spontaneous answer? Do you have a mind? Yes. Where is the owner of the body and the mind? It doesn't exist. We are the union. We are the constant flow of thoughts and emotions and body all together. Okay? But when we perceive our own selves, how do we appear to ourselves? As being something independent, objective, or as a complex, are existing in the interdependent with the objects of interaction, and as existing as a constant changing entity, and so on. How do we appear to us? As being solid, autonomous, independent, objective. It's quite amazing to see that we also exist subjectively to ourselves. We do not exist objectively to ourselves either. Okay? But when we start seeing this, and when we can catch it, and we start to look at it, it's quite fearful. There is one story that when Lama Tsongkhapa was teaching about this, one of his disciples, which was called Jetsun Jampel Senge, if I remember well, he was the founder of the monastery of Segyu. At one point, he started to hold his clothes like this. And he was a little bit anxious, and he was holding his clothes strongly. Then Lama Tsongkhapa looked at him during the teachings, and he said, look at Jampel Senge, I think was his name. No, not Jampel Senge. I've now forgotten his name. Anyhow. And he said, look at him. He's in fear that he doesn't exist. Ha ha ha. No? And this is one of the signs of truly understanding it. Huh? Because when we are in front of an object of desire and we start to see that it appears as being of its own existence, but actually it is not. It doesn't exist as it appears. So then comes the question, sir, what it is? I am attached to what? And there is a moment in which fear comes. The answer for the fear is that the more we understand that reality is interdependent, the more we understand that reality doesn't exist as an objective, the more we can see that reality does truly exist, but in a constant, complex interdependence. So it's not something that should take us away from reality. It should take us more into reality somehow. Okay? But there is this fear that comes in the beginning. So if you feel some fear, that means you are in the right direction. If you are able to look at your own object of attraction and aversion and see how it appears as being objectively, independently existent, and you start to deconstruct it and you feel little, and then what is there, this means you are going in the right direction. If you start thinking that because your phenomena lack independent, autonomous, objective reality, they do not exist, then you are completely in the wrong direction. Okay? So, it's the same thing as we said yesterday. Me and you, we are right now here interacting. Do I exist independently of you? Do you exist independently of me? Actually, not. Someone may say, yes, I do exist independently of you because when the teachings finish, I can go away and I still exist and you are not there. But right now, we exist in the present moment. What happened in 1 hour is not us now. We only exist in the present moment. So right now, what I am, does my mind and my body in the present moment exists independently of the interaction with you or not? No. Does your body and mind exist as it is now independently of the interaction with me and everyone else here? No. Does this mean that we do not exist? No. It means that existence can only be there into mutual dependence. Nothing can exist independently of interaction and mutual dependence. Okay? Now we will go to the next part, which will enter into self-healing more specifically, and we'll see why all of this. But if somebody likes to go deeper into this subject, there is one book which I read some months ago when I got COVID, which I really enjoyed, and there is one particular chapter talking about Nagarjuna, so beautiful, is the book from this Italian physicist called Carlo Rovelli, and the name of the book is Helgoland. Okay? And there is Helgoland with H, Helgoland, and there is one chapter about Nagarjuna which is extremely beautiful, and there, the way how he presents the view of reality, it's extremely, extremely similar, not to say exactly the same as we have in the Buddhist view, okay? And it's presented in a very nice way, okay? But the key is that nothing at all exists out of context. Nothing at all can exist if not in interaction with others. Nothing exists independently of its parts. So, and the key for us is not just to have a nice philosophical thought, because one of the problems of all of this is that maybe you pass years of your life reflecting about how is the nature of reality, and after all of that you ask, and then now what? What does this have to do with my own daily life? The main issue is that this is the basis that allow my own defilements to exist and to sustain. And once I start deconstructing it, there is no more solid basis for my own defilements to stay. It's like if I look at the object of attachment and I say, but it doesn't exist by itself as an object of attachment. It doesn't exist in such way as it actually does appear. Attachment fades away. Okay? Now, is it clear up to here? So when we talk about emptiness, we have the wisdom of listening of emptiness, which is when we have a correct assumption regarding emptiness. The correct assumption regarding emptiness is when we have this clear understanding in which we say, oh, whatever I see, like the flower or anything else, doesn't exist independently, autonomously, objectively. It doesn't have inherent existence as it appears. And I can see, I can recognize my own grasping at inherent existence, and I look at it and I say, oh, but it's not like that. Why? I really didn't understand it fully yet, but I know it's not like that. Okay? That's when we have a correct assumption of emptiness. Second, so we need to see the object of negation and say it is an object of negation. Why exactly, I'm not yet sure, but it is an object of negation. But in order to do that, we need to see the object of negation. Okay? We cannot grasp the lack of an elephant if we do not imagine the elephant. So we need to be able to imagine, to perceive. No? As it was said before, it is not possible without entering in contact with the designated object, the lack of inherent existence, or inherent existence, sorry. It is not possible to apprehend its known existence. Okay? So first step, really we need to put effort to analyze, to observe, to recognize, to hold strongly at the object of negation, at our own grasping at inherent existence and permanence, for example. Okay? Another example regarding this. What are the causes of suffering? External reality or our own defilements and actions in relation to it? In other words, we suffer because the reality is as it is, because the situations that we go through, or because we do not have enough wisdom and stability and love and compassion and humility and so on in order to deal in a healthy way with the situation. What's the right answer? We suffer because we don't have enough wisdom and stability and so on, okay? But when we are in front of whatever situation, how does it appear? The suffering, what does it appear? The cause of suffering appears as being external or as being internal? So it appears as being external. That's an illusion. So in order to deconstruct that illusion, first we need to see it. We need to grasp how a situation appears as being the cause of our suffering. Then we can say, oh, but actually it's not like that. Then we can deconstruct it. Because the danger is that on one part we are there discussing that suffering is created by mental defilements and this and that, and it's a whole beautiful philosophical thought, conceptual. It's somewhere in a beautiful cloud. But then there is our direct daily experience, and we are grasping at something as the cause of suffering. And that's what we need to deconstruct. That's what we need to oppose, not a conceptual philosophical thought somewhere. So when we meditate on the Four Noble Truths, for instance, we need first of all to allow ourselves to see where do we project our own suffering. And is it right or is it wrong? Is it consistent or not? And then once I can see it, I can say, oh, but actually it's not like that. And it takes courage to do it. Because one thing is to go through a philosophical thought saying, oh, suffering comes from defilements, blah, 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 beautiful. The other thing is to look at what I project as the causes of my suffering, to hold at it and say, it is not true. That's difficult. It takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of strength. Because truly, to look into what we project as the causes of our suffering that actually are not, to look at it and say, that's an illusion. I'm not suffering because you talked to me in that way. I'm not suffering because this and that is happening. I'm suffering because of my attachment. I'm suffering because of my selfishness. I'm suffering because of my lack of stability. I'm suffering because of my traumas of the past that I project in the present and so on. So I need to stop victimizing myself. But to do that is difficult. Or not? Okay? So when we look in this way, the path of the Dharma is not pleasurable. Huh? I'm sorry to put in these words. But to look at one's own object of attachment, to look at something where we project as the causes of our own suffering and to say, it is not like that. And let it go. The final result is wonderful, but the process is painful also. It is not easy, you know. To become mature, it's not obvious. Because we want someone else to solve our problem. We want to be the victim of reality. Or not? Okay? So, first step is we need to see clearly our defilement. In other words, there is a verse from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara which says, before throwing the arrow, you must have clarity where is the target. If you throw the arrow without seeing the target, most probably you will not hit it. If you direct the light without knowing where is the darkness, you may not eliminate the darkness. It's like you go to the pharmacy and you can even buy the whole pharmacy. You can become the owner of the pharmacy. But if you do not know what is your sickness, what do you do? You can take all sorts of medicines that maybe even become poison to you because you don't take the right thing that you need. So the answer is in the medicine, But before applying the medicine, I need to see the sickness. It's like the process of healing is in the treatment. But I cannot start the process of healing if I don't have a correct diagnosis. Okay? If I want to eliminate darkness, first I must know where is the shadow so I can put light there. If I need to apply the antidote, I must see the poison. I must see where it is. So in the same way, we must see our own defilements. We must see our grasping at permanence. We must see our grasping at inherent existence. We must see our own grasping at projecting our happiness and suffering what actually it is not, and so on. And once we see it, there is no hurry to change it. Because this is another thing that happens. We see, and then we want right away to change it. No hurry. We are long-time friends with these graspings and these things, We cannot take it away from one day to the other. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of time. It's like, imagine that let's say you have a company, okay? And suddenly you know that someone is stealing money from the company because the company is never making the right profit. And it doesn't matter what happens, it's always into problem. The company is not making any profit. And you are there say, someone is stealing from the company, that's not okay. And then one day you start slowly to understand that the one that is stealing from the company is your best friend. And someone that has been with you in the company since such long time. And it's helping you in many other ways, and you trust this person in so many ways. It takes time to accept and to understand that you need to put this person away from the company. It's not easy, no? Yes, I know it is stealing, but he's also doing that part of the job well. But still, because the person is not allowing the company to grow, and is creating a very unhealthy situation, the person needs to stop acting in this way or need to create distance. When we look at our own selfishness, when we look at our own defilements and our own grasping at inherent existence, it's an old-time friend. It's there with us in such a long time, and we don't know how to function without it. So it takes time for us slowly to be able to imagine without it. It's something that is not immediate. But we need to generate more courage to see it and recognize it as we move along our path. Okay. And this goes for many, many small things. So there is no hurry. It's a process that we need to do on its own timing. So the first step is seeing the object of negation. And again, it's not obvious. Okay, it's something not only conceptual, it's something that we need to feel, we need to perceive in our own experience. Second step, comprehending. We need to see the object of negation, and we need to go through the whole process in which we truly comprehend why it is not as it appears. It's not just a matter of repeating someone. It needs to become our own understanding. Yes, does the flower appear as being inherently beautiful and nice and by its own characteristic as a flower? Yes. Why is it not? Because it interacts, because it is interdependent, and something that depends on causes and conditions and depends on the value attributed to it. It cannot exist in such static, independent way. But we need to understand it. We need to go through a process where the whole thing makes clearly sense to us. Once we reach that, which is called in Tibetan Jepatsema, which is the valid inferential cognition regarding the lack of inherent existence. In other words, regarding the known existence of our own object of negation. Okay? In other words, the known existence of our own object of affirmation of ignorance. Then we go to the next step, which is generating the wisdom of meditation. And when generating the wisdom of meditation of emptiness, what is the object of perception? The simple lack of the object of negation. The definition of emptiness is gakcha kaktsam gimega. Gakcha kaktsam gimega. That's the technical, philosophical definition of emptiness. If we give a correct translation, it is the simple, non-affirmative negation of the object of negation. Okay, I repeat again, then we give an easy explanation. Gakcha is the object of negation. Kaktsam, merely negating, merely stopping the object of negation. Mega, it's a non-affirmative negation. So it is a non-affirmative negation of the object of negation. Okay. In other words, it's the simple non-existence of the object of negation. Okay? There are two types of negation, affirmative negation and non-affirmative negation. What is an affirmative negation? I will not eat today. When I say to you, I will not eat today, is it implied in it that I will eat another moment? When I say to you, I will not eat today, do you understand something beyond the fact that I don't eat today? Will I eat tomorrow? Probably. Yes, no? And another thing is if I say, I'm not eating, I do not eat. Finish. No affirmation behind it. So there is a negation that brings as a consequence an affirmation. That's an affirmative negation. And then there is one type of negation which brings no affirmation as a consequence of it. So emptiness is a non-affirmative negation. And there have been a lot of philosophical discussions if emptiness is an affirmative negation or non-affirmative negation. Like, there are books and books and books written about it, okay? And this was one of in the time of Lama Tsongkhapa, a lot of discussion about that. And Lama Tsongkhapa made very clear that emptiness is a non-affirmative negation, okay? It's like there is not reality beyond emptiness. There is not something that comes beyond it. As it is empty, there is something else. No, there is nothing beyond it. Okay? So it's a non-affirmative negation. It's a negation of what? Of the object of affirmation of ignorance. In other words, of inherent existence. So emptiness is the simple negation of inherent existence as it appears to us and as we grasp out of ignorance. So, when we take the process of meditating on emptiness, we have an object that appears to us, like the flowers, like our own sensations, like our own self, whatever. We look upon it, we allow it to appear to us in a spontaneous way. We see how it appears to us as being of inherent existence, as existing by its own characteristics and so on. We allow that presence, that appearance to be there. We hold strongly to it. We come to the process of deconstructing that through a logical reasoning. It cannot be in this way because it is interdependent. And anything that is interdependent cannot exist out of its own characteristics, so it is not like that. And once we get to the conclusion, we are not able to perceive at the same time the lack of inherent existence of the flower and the flower. We are not able. In the moment that I deconstruct the independent, objective appearance of the flower, I cannot see flower anymore. We can only see relative reality. We can only perceive objects and so on within the context of the appearance that we relate with. I don't know if this is clear. Because, in other words, okay, this object is easier to understand. How many things can this object be? Can it be a vase for flowers? Can it be a shield for fighting? Can it be a vase when you use during the night where you want to go to the toilet? Can you use it to cook? Can you use it to play a nice sound in order to meditate? Yes. How many other possibilities are there? Countless. Can you say this is a chocolate cake? You can say, but can it be a chocolate cake? No. Can it be a dog? No. Why not? Why this cannot be a dog? Because it cannot hold the characteristics and functions of a dog. It cannot be a cake because it cannot hold the functions and characteristics of a cake. Okay, so it's not that it can be anything, but how many things can it be? 1, 10, 20, 100,000? Countless. Okay, so now try to look at the object and try to see the object without holding at one possibility, seeing that there are countless possibilities within it. And then ask it what it is. We cannot hold it anymore. It's like if it disappears from our perception. We cannot put together countless possibilities and the object at the same time. Okay? It's like in the Heart Sutra, when it says, there is no eye, there is no ear, there is no tongue, there is no nose, there is no touch, and so on. And so on. There is no phenomena, there is no sphere of phenomena, and so on, it goes on. This is explaining that within the realization of emptiness, when we perceive the lack of autonomous, independent, so-called inherent existence, we are not able to perceive anything more. It's like if we go into a sort of, how do you call that in English? Cortocircuito. Shortcut. No, not shortcut. Short circuit, when the electricity goes wrong, how do you call that? Short circuit? Okay, you understood, right? It's like if we go into something okay, I cannot perceive anything anymore. Okay? Reality appears to us as being of inherent existence, and in the moment that we take away inherent existence from it, we cannot perceive reality anymore. Okay? So it's like if we go in a sort of total blank. Okay? So, then when we come back from that state, and we look at things, they still appear as existing of inherent existence, but we know it's not. So, during the meditation of emptiness, what we do is we start, first of all, to deconstruct our ignorance, our grasping at inherent existence, and we rest our mind into the simple fact that it doesn't exist as it appears. It is not like that. It doesn't exist autonomously, independently. Okay? By doing this, the more we can familiarize ourselves with it, the more we can go deeper with the experience, and later, it's more easy to not connect in that way and not relate into that way. Okay? But now, what does all of this have to do with self-healing? The main difference between Sutra and Tantra is that emptiness is the same. There is no any difference whatsoever of the way how to understand and to meditate on emptiness on Sutra and Tantra. It's exactly the same. The difference is the one that meditates on emptiness, which means the state of mind in which we meditate on emptiness. And one of the main objectives is to bring within, on the basis of love and compassion, with a state of bliss, that has the continuity. So we generate love and compassion. Within that state, we generate bliss. And in this blissful, non-conceptual state, the state of bliss, we perceive the lack of inherent existence. We understand, we realize the lack of inherent existence. And to bring that experience from a conceptual level to a non-conceptual level up to the level of imprint in our mind. Okay? So, some days ago we said that just to experience a deeper level of consciousness is not so special. Okay? When we go to sleep, we go into a deeper level of consciousness. When we experience orgasm, we go into a deeper level of consciousness, very, very briefly, but it happens. When we die, we will experience an incredible, much, much deeper level of consciousness. It's like NgalSo Tantric said in the discussion between wisdom and ignorance. Chiwe tusu wese ma tean shi chakchen yin. Sachu nesung trokpu bar, chiwe tusu wese ma tean shi chakchen yin. From an ant to the bodhisattva that is about to reach enlightenment of the 10th ground, 10th bhumi, at the moment of death, there is the mother clear light. And this is the basis of Mahamudra. In other words, it is saying that anyone in the moment of death experiences very subtle consciousness. And so what? Because if going to a very deeper level of consciousness meant spiritual growth, the more we die, the better we become, okay? But it doesn't happen like this. Because what happens is that when we enter from a gross level of consciousness to a more subtle level and an even deeper subtle level, the direction that our mind takes on a subtle level, it follows the direction of our less thought in the gross level. It's similar to the fact, what happens if I fall asleep with strong attachment? Probably our dream will be directed by attachment. Okay? And I may wake up also with that same attachment. Okay? So, there is this particular characteristic that when the mind goes from a gross level to a more subtle level, it follows the direction of the last thought. So if I enter into a deeper level of consciousness with a mind of attachment, I am familiarizing my mind on a deeper level with attachment. If I enter into a deeper level of consciousness with kindness and love, I am familiarizing my mind on a deeper level with kindness and love. Okay? So, we need to be quite careful during our lifetime in the moments that we go into the deeper level of consciousness. Within what state of mind am I entering into a deeper level of consciousness? And on a spontaneous way, on a natural way, the moments in which this happens is when we fall asleep. That's why it's very important how we fall asleep. So it is important before, as we go to sleep, to recite some mantras or prayers, to concentrate on something virtuous and positive, to generate a positive state of mind. That's very important. There is the moment of orgasm, and most commonly, when there is sexual contact and relation and so on, what is the state of mind mostly generated? Kindness, love, gratitude, altruism or selfishness, attachment. It's something more connected of giving or taking. You know for yourself. Okay? Mostly is connected with taking. I want my own pleasure. Okay? So, with what do you familiarize yourself on a deeper level? With attachment. The more I generate a subtle mind with attachment, the deeper the attachment becomes. Okay? So, and then there is the moment when we die. This we need to worry a little later. We need to start worrying now, but is something that we need to prepare for the moment. So what happens is that whenever we enter a deeper level of consciousness, the state of mind is very important. So we need to train ourselves to generate a positive state of mind when entering into a deeper level of consciousness. And the strongest moment when this will happen is in our own death. So one of the reasons why it's so important to prepare ourselves for death is that in the moment of death, the way how we direct our mind makes a big difference for what comes after. Okay? Then there is a fourth moment in which we can experience a deeper level of consciousness, which is to do it through meditation. So we will induce ourselves consciously into a deeper level of consciousness, okay? That's the most difficult, but it also exists. So, the process of entering to a deeper level of consciousness is extremely valuable if we can generate it with a mind of wisdom and compassion. And this is one of the main objectives of Vajrayana Buddhism. So, when we finish Eyam Ram Lambam, we do Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddha Ham. And here comes a meditation which is not explicitly written in self-healing, but it's there, which is called transforming death into the Dharmakaya. Okay? So, what is happening here? I'm trying to make it short, okay? First of all, through Eyam Ram Lambam, we at least imagine that we generate a state of bliss, okay? And we allow our mind just to rest in this state of bliss. Then as we do Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddha Hang, which means Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma, all phenomena are of a pure nature, I am of a pure nature, Sobhava Shuddha Aham. So, in this moment, we choose one object which can be our own self or an external object, and we observe how does it appear to us. And we are able to look and grasp at the object of negation. We are able to see that it appears as being of inherent existence. And then we deconstruct it and we say, it is not. It doesn't exist independently, objectively, autonomously, because it is interdependent. And we allow ourselves for at least a few moments into that state. Then, within the state of bliss that perceives the lack of inherent existence, we start with this very clear attitude, which is, if one thing is empty of inherent existence, what about the other? Also. Once we are able to clearly see that the flower doesn't exist inherently as it appears, the same thing is for everything else that I see and perceive. Okay? Can we get that? Okay, so in this moment we are there, we look at one thing. It can be an external phenomenon or an internal phenomenon or even our own self. And then we generalize it saying everything else is the same. So just as I myself lack inherent existence, so do everything that I may ever perceive. And we remain for a moment into that. Then, after that, we start to simulate the process of death. Okay? Why do we simulate the process of death? 2 reasons. One is to deconstruct our so-called ordinary appearance and grasping at ordinary appearance. We are not able to identify ourselves with our qualities, with stability, with love and compassion as being what I am now. And we need to bring the result into the path. So in order to allow myself to imagine myself being a Buddha on every aspect, I cannot be here myself, Lama Michel, as Tara. No, I am Tara. I am Akshobhya, I am Ratnasambhava, I am Guru Buddha, I am Buddha. And in order to be able to do that, first I need to disconnect from this ordinary appearance that I have in the present moment. And to do that, we need to die. Not really, but imaginally, on our own imagination. So, this is one reason. The other reason is that by simulating the process of death, we are training to bring our winds into the central channel and to generate, through meditation, a deeper level of consciousness. And it's also the training to prepare ourselves for our own death. Okay? So, we are not entering into details right now on the different parts of the process of death, but it's divided first. First moment, we imagine that the whole world around us dissolves into us. Like the example that is given is that when we manifest from our heart, like light and nectar, it is like when you think about a beautiful lake without any movement, and then you put a little you drop at the center of the lake one little stone. And then the ripple of the water goes outwards, okay? That's how the manifestation goes when we manifest. Then, the other example, when there is absorption, is like in the winter time, if you go to a glass and you do like, in Tibetan it's called hadap. I don't know how to say that in English, okay? If you just go, no, and it becomes all, like foggy, no? Like a mist. Then, when it goes away, how does it goes away? From the center to the extremities, or from the outside to the inside? From the outside. That's the example for absorption. It goes from the outside to the center. So in this moment, first thing is that the whole universe around us starts to absorb into light. It's like coming back. And what is happening here is that we are simulating the earth dissolving into water, in where is the first step in the process of death, when we lose perception of our eyesight. Okay? So we are not simulating that the reality doesn't exist. We are simulating that we stop having the ability to perceive the world around us. So everything fades away. Then earth dissolves into water. We are not able to move anymore, so we lose contact with everything outside our skin outwards. We start to lose contact with the external world. Then the water dissolves into fire, and we lose contact with sound. All the sound starts to fade away. We bring our consciousness more and more inside of us. Then water dissolves into fire, and we lose contact with smell. And then our body heat starts to fade away. There is no more movement. Our own inner movements starts to stop also, not only outer movements. Then fire dissolves into wind. And in this moment, there is no more heat, and our breath starts to become deeper and deeper, and there is no more sensation of touch and taste. And then the wind dissolves into consciousness, our breath completely stops, there is no more conceptual thinking, no more judgment, no more memories, no more projections, no more sensation of pleasure or suffering. Okay? No more five senses. We are inside the central channel. Then the so-called white bodhicitta, our male energy, dissolves, and we just go through this overwhelming white vision. And also our emotional mind fades away. The part regarding our aversion completely fades away. Then we have the red vision. We are overwhelmed by this strong red vision as our red bodhicitta, our female energy, fades away, and then our attraction also fades away. We go through it, but then it goes away. So even our emotional part of our mind, which is our subtle mind, which is based on attraction and aversion, that also fades away. And then as everything dissolves into our heart, we go into like a total blackout, which is called the black vision. So we imagine that there is no more perception of the outer world, there is no more perception of the inner world, there are no more thoughts regarding the past, no more thoughts regarding the future, no more judgment of the present, no more intention of doing or avoiding, no more sensation. And basically, we go into a total blackout of body and mind. That's called the black vision. And this is the moment where all the winds absorb into the indestructible drop at our heart. No more perception of any kind. So imagine this total darkness, this total, complete blackout. It's not only a blackout of external perception, it's a blackout of emotions, it's a blackout of sensation, it's a blackout of judgment, it's a blackout of understanding. There is no more mental, emotional, physical activity of any kind. So what we do is we just try to rest ourselves into that total blackout. Then, as we remain into that, the stronger we can experience the blackout, the better will be the next part. So there is no more me, no more you, no more this, no more that. Total blackout. And then just like after a dark night without moon, the sun starts to rise. Our very subtle consciousness starts to become self-aware. Because what happens is that our very subtle mind, it's there now, but it's overwhelmed by all the gross thoughts and the strong emotions and all of that. So when the gross mind dissolves, the subtle mind manifests. And when the subtle mind dissolves, it takes some little time before the very subtle mind becomes self-aware. It's like if we have a very noisy place and suddenly we stop with all the noise, it takes time until we then, for a moment, it looks like there is total silence. And then suddenly we start to listen to the subtle sounds. So when all the winds absorb into the central channel and in the heart chakra, which is what happens during the process of death, it's like a total blackout. And then from the total blackout, our very subtle mind, which is called clear light, okay, subtle mind and body, it starts to become self-evident, self-manifested, okay? And this is represented by the inner experience of, from the total darkness, it's like if some rays of light starts to come. And from that, it's like the sun rising, and then it becomes a full light. So out of the total blackout, we experience clear light, which is basically our very subtle mind becoming self-aware. And in that moment, the perception is of only a total emptiness full of light. An emptiness in which there is no me or you, no here or there, no this or that, simply an infinite emptiness full of light, empty of inherent existence, inseparable of great bliss. And I am such union. So, as we go through the process, ideally, technically, when we start having the dissolution of the earth, we say, yes, this is the dissolution of the earth, which appears as being of inherent existence, but it is not. It is of the nature of emptiness. Then we go through the dissolution of water, which is also everything that I experience, it also empty of inherent existence. So as we go on through the process, we try to keep, as much as we can, we try to keep the perception of anything that appeared to me, external or internal, lacks inherent existence. Okay? And we bring this mode of apprehension up to the clear light. So it's just as we said before, in the beginning we say, okay, the flower lacks inherent existence, so does everything else that I perceive. And we keep that mode of apprehension from the gross level up to clear light. So everything that appears to us, it is the dissolution of earth, of water, there is the external appearance of like a fog or light or whatever, it's coming. But everything that appears, it appears as such, and it is actually empty of inherent existence. Just like the flower, let's say. So, in the same way, it happens also when we get to clear light. It appears as an infinite emptiness full of light, that it's empty of inherent existence, just as before. And this is experienced through a sensation of great bliss. So we try to keep continuity from the great bliss from the beginning, during the whole process. Okay? So in this moment, we just rest our mind into this infinite emptiness, full of light, empty of inherent existence, inseparable of great bliss. And then the fourth part, which is the most difficult finally, is we generate our own identity. I am this non-dual union of great bliss and emptiness within clear light. Okay? So this meditation is called Transforming Death into the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the very subtle body and mind of a Buddha. So basically what we are doing is we are allowing ourselves to imagine going from the gross body to the subtle, and then we go to the very subtle mind. We enter in contact with our very subtle mind, and we generate our very subtle mind within a state of wisdom. Okay? So this is what we are training in this way. Then, from that state, then we generate ourselves again in a gross level. So we generate ourselves, we see again the environment, we generate ourselves with a full body, with one face, 2 arms, with a central channel, right and left channel, 5 chakras. Then we generate the lotuses, the 6 syllables, the symbols, the Buddhas, and so on. But this moment of the practice, it's very, very important. Okay? And it's just this practice in which you try to allow yourself to die peacefully. Not as something negative, but as something positive. It's like, in this process of simulating death, it's more similar to accompany oneself towards a subtle level in a peaceful way. It's like, okay, I generate this blissful state with harmony because wisdom brings harmony. Okay? And we generate this peaceful, blissful state of wisdom, and we accompany that state from the gross level to a subtle and to a very subtle level. That's the objective within it. Okay? So, can we see the connection that is coming from the elements that we generate bliss? Then we meditate on emptiness, Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddha Hang. Then within that, we do the dissolution of the elements in order to bring our mind from a gross level to a subtle and very subtle level within that state. And we disconnect from this ordinary appearance, and from that we generate ourselves as a Buddha. But when we generate ourselves as a Buddha, we are not generating ourselves as a Buddha from this gross body and mind. We generate ourselves as a Buddha starting from a very subtle mind in a pure state, which is what we call in the moment of clear light, in the non-dual union of great bliss and emptiness. So we are generating the Dharmakaya, which is the pure, very subtle body and mind. And from that we generate ourselves as a Buddha in a gross level. Okay? Otherwise, I'm just imagining myself, with a strange hair like a Buddha, or whatever appearance. I imagine myself, and I am Buddha Vairocana. No. I start from the very subtle level, I am a Buddha, and then from that I manifest. And then I really, in my own practice and process of imagination, I am the Buddha. And this is part of the practice of self-healing, which we call bringing the result into the path. So in order for us truly to be able to imagine ourselves as a Buddha, to go into it, we first need to disconnect from the ordinary appearance that we have. But because it's so difficult to disconnect from our ordinary appearance, inside self-healing, later we have the part in which we eliminate our defilements again. We do that because we are not yet, most of us at least, in the point of practice where we can truly generate what's so-called divine pride. We are still connected with our ordinary appearance, so we need to disconnect from it again. So we eliminate the anger, we eliminate the attachment, and so on. If we do the practice, being able truly to generate the correct so-called divine pride, then we don't need to eliminate anything again. We just concentrate on the qualities of the Buddhas. Okay? So, why we do sadhanas? Why we have meditations? One of the reasons is that just understanding is not enough. And the way is that we need to familiarize ourselves. And how we do that? Through visualization, through meditation. And all the sadhanas, such as self-healing, they accompany us in order to do that process. Okay? So, there is a saying which says, Domena nga hum hum pepeing. Without the sutra, the tantra is just hum hum pepe. Which actually is a lot, hum hum pepe, but that's another thing. Pe. Pet actually means to sweep away. The literal meaning of pe means like when you take a broom and you sweep. It's called sweep, right? When you sweep away. Okay, sweep something, you clean. That the sound pe means this, to sweep, to take away, okay? To clean. So what does it mean? It means to clean the grasping at inherent existence. That means pe. Okay, is we take away the grasping of inherent existence. That's the meaning of pe. And hum symbolizes, hum is the actual, very subtle mind that realizes the true nature of reality within a state of love and compassion. So hum hum pepe is a lot, okay? But the meaning of this saying, without sutra, tantra is just hum hum pepe, it means that sutra and tantra, they go together. Philosophy and meditation, they go together. Without the understanding, the practice is superficial on some level. Without the practice, the understanding is not powerful enough. We remain mainly into our mental understanding. We cannot go deeper into it. So we need to bring both together. Okay? And for me, what is really beautiful is that the more we go into the Vajrayana Buddhism, the more we go into the meditation techniques, such as self-healing or the practice of Yamantaka or so many others, the more we can see how logical it is actually. How coherent it is, how consistent it is. It is not something mystical as intended as something that cannot be understood, that who knows what. It's incredibly functional, let's put into these words. And it's so beautiful to see it, at least for me. Okay? So, one of the things that we do inside self-healing is to train ourselves for our own death. And we do this in two main moments of the practice. In the very beginning, after Subhavashuddha Saradharma Subhavashuddha Hang, and in the end, after Mani Peme Hum Mahasukha Bishwashanti. Again, the moment of Bishwashanti, it's again when I do a Mani Peme Hum, the winds dissolve, enter the central channel, and the white bodhicitta descends. A Mani Peme Hum, the wind goes inside the central channel, the red bodhicitta ascends. Then Mahasukha, we do crown, throat, secret, navel, and finally in the heart, is when all the winds absorb into the central channel and we go to the total blackout. And then from that, we generate clear light. on Bishwa Shanti home. Okay? So, again there we are training ourselves into that. Okay? The ultimate way of self-healing is actually when the winds truly absorb into the central channel and we truly go into a very deep level of consciousness. That's the ultimate way of practicing, okay? In order to do that, we train. We imagine it again and again, and slowly we go into it. So what I want to say is that there are different levels of understanding and seeing the practice of self-healing. It is a very suitable practice when we are in the very beginning and we really do not understand much. We just feel it. And it is an incredibly, suitable and valid method if you are just about to reach enlightenment. Okay? And I was just remembering that Rinpoche, he had this wonderful way of doing because, when I explained self-healing to one of my gurus, Kajin Losam Phuntsho Rinpoche in Tibet, the abbot of Tashilhunpo, which, just for your knowledge, has been one of the most respected and well-known masters in Tibet recently, okay, from all traditions. Incredible knowledge and practice. And when I explained self-healing to him, he looked at it and he said, but how did Lama Ganchen Rinpoche create something so amazing? Because it is easily to practice and it's adaptive to all different levels of practice. It's like the part of Bishwa Shanti. It can be a dedication or it can be the ultimate meditation on the union of clear light and illusory body, so-called the empowerment of the word empowerment. Okay? So, how did Rinpoche do this? And then I explained this, I said, look, Rinpoche was not a person that did things out of logical reasoning so much. He created the practice of self-healing based not only on his intuition, but mainly on all his own direct experience. Rinpoche said that the practice of self-healing is what he called a mental terma from Trobu Lotsawa. Trobu Lotsawa was a previous life of Rinpoche. And Rinpoche said that the practice of self-healing was actually created by Trobu Lotsawa. But it was too advanced for his times, too modern for his times. So he didn't have the opportunity so much to teach it at that time. So he kept the practice inside his mind stream, life after life. So when Rinpoche was in Borobudur, that's when going to Borobudur, it was like watering the seeds that were the imprints in his own mind. And then it starts sprouting, it starts coming up. And that's when he starts to see this practice and he starts to understand it, which didn't come from a conceptual process. Then it took some little time for Rinpoche to put it as we practice now, like to formalize it somehow in this way. So when I explained this to Rinpoche, he said, oh, that's the only way. It's only through these inner realizations that some things like this can be done. No other way. And when recently, so Rinpoche, even though it's something so special, Rinpoche always did it like taking hand by hand a child and let's say, let's play together. Ram, lam, bam, na, 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 we go here and there. And he's actually giving us the most powerful and profound and deep tool and method in the most simple and easy way, accessible to everyone. Okay. Personally, I got a better understanding of self-healing when I studied the Tantra of Guhya Samaja in Tibet. If you really want to have like a clear understanding of the whole practice, you need to go and study Vajrayana Buddhism on the most deep level. Then you can see everything is there. Okay. So, like even recently, one day, like when Sherab Rinpoche was here, some of you remember, I don't remember, when did he come last time? Was this year, no? February something, last year, February, I don't know, anyhow. When Sherab, not this February, past February, I think was Losar time. Anyhow, Sherab Rinpoche came here, then one day I explained self-healing to Sherab Rinpoche, there was Geshe Losam Phuntsok, Geshe Chanchup Gyaltsen, Drupchen Rinpoche, Tenzin, and also Tupten, and then there's some of the Tibetan Lamas there, so I explained self-healing to them. And we took more or less 1.5, 2 hours going through every part of the practice, no? And by the end of the practice, there was their Geshe Phuntsok and Geshe Chanchup, they were both crying, no? And they came and they said, like, it's not so obvious to see the Tibetan Geshes crying. That's not easy, no? It's like they were deeply touched. And they said to me, look, we have been seeing self-healing since a long time, but we never really went deep into it, and we can see how amazing it is, how everything is in there. And when I explained self-healing to my teacher in Tibet, Kajan Losam Phuntsok, one of the things that he said in the end, he said, wow, if you need to practice, that's what you need, nothing more. Everything is in there. And then he told me, you look what happens nowadays. For example, the practice of Guya Samaja is the most beautiful sadhana. I have studied it, I have gone through it, I have done the practice. It's like, it's the most beautiful meditation I have ever done. But to do the complete practice, reciting a bit fast, without really giving much time to each part of the practice, for me took 4 hours. And by the end, I tried to go fast because I was already quite tired. And then he was saying, for example, Guya Samaja practice, what happens nowadays? He said, in order to have a good understanding of the practice, you need to dedicate many years to study the philosophy first. Then when you complete the philosophy studies and you start Guya Samaja, you don't have any more the mental clarity to memorize all the texts of the sadhanas, so you are not able to do it correctly. Those that dedicate the first years of their life only to study Guya Samaja, which, for example, in monastery there are, then they don't have the deeper understanding of the practice. He was saying, nowadays it's difficult, also because these practices, they were taught in times where you had your full-time job was to practice Guya Samaja, since a young time. Then okay. So, and he was saying, self-healing, everything is there, so easily, so accessible. And even I remember in these last years, Rinpoche saying, we're doing different practices and different retreats, and I was saying, Rinpoche, we need to do retreats of self-healing. And Rinpoche was saying, yes, truly that's the only thing we need. But all the other practices, they have their own special qualities also, which we need to keep alive. But as our main practice, as our yidam, is self-healing. It's truly the essence. Everything is there. It's like a very, very powerful tool that you can start using right away, and you can keep using it up till you get to enlightenment. And like it adapts to the level of each one. And it can be done in so many ways, no? Like why Rinpoche did, sometimes singing, sometimes reciting, sometimes in silent, so that we can adapt it. And we can do in many different forms. So, to go through the whole practice, we need a lifetime. And I think it is so beautiful and so special to have a tool that can accompany us, that we can rely upon through whole our life. So the point is, do the practice according to your own level of understanding. And the more you do the practice, the more you feel it, the more you experience, the more you understand about it, the deeper you go gradually with it. It will take you from one level to the other. And you can put emphasis in one part or in another part of the practice. One of the problems that we have sometimes is that we get bored with things. Oh, but I already know this practice. Oh, look at that other one, it's so nice. Okay. But we need to allow ourselves to go beyond being bored, to find the taste in it, to go deeper into it day after day, meditation after meditation. And we go deeper into it and deeper into it and deeper into it. And it becomes more and more tasteful as we go along. Okay? what I wanted to do during these days was just to share with you some parts of the practice which are not written somehow. This is part of tradition. It's like when Buddha taught Vajrayana in the beginning, the Guhya Samaja Tantra. It is said that the Tantra of Guhya Samaja, it's written and it was taught in the complete, mixed order. So if you take the Tantra of Guhya Samaja and you start reading from beginning to end, it's almost impossible to understand much. It's completely mixed up. Why? In order to make sure that no one would practice without having a valid guide. It's not something that you can do, autodidacta, of self-taught. Why? Because it's not just a matter of knowing the technical aspect, it's a matter of sharing experience. It's a matter of having the transmission. So there are many parts of the practices that have been kept on an oral transmission, not only on something technical written down. Okay? Then Nagarjuna was the one that made the commentary and he put into order after. He said, okay, this, you start from here, then you jump there, then you go here, then you take this part, and then he like a puzzle. He took the Guhya Samaja Tantra like a puzzle and he re-put everything into place. That's what we follow nowadays. Otherwise, it's really difficult. Even the commentary of Nagarjuna, it's already still very difficult. But anyhow, and the one of Lama Tsongkhapa also. So we go to self-healing. Which, when Rinpoche made self-healing, some people criticized Rinpoche saying, but you are opening all the secrets. You are making the secrets public. I don't agree. For a simple reason. When we do, for example, Om Ahom Pe, okay? What do you understand? What you are able to understand, that's all. So the secret is not being shown. I reveal the secret in the moment that I explain in a way that the other person can understand. And the beauty of self-healing is that all the secrets are there, but they can be understood only when the person is ready to understand them. Otherwise, they are not being seen. So there is the danger of showing something to someone that is not ready to understand it. Because each one understands according to their own level. Okay? So, there are different levels of the practice of self-healing. And we need to adapt to the level in which we are. So we listen, we do the practice, we start with the visualization, we start putting emphasis in one part which we understand better, we start using it in different moments of our lives, and then slowly we'll go into a deeper level of the practice. Okay? So, now just to conclude, every time I touch self-healing, I feel so much gratitude towards Rinpoche. And I have always thought that the greatest of all the gifts, or if we talk about heritage from Rinpoche, is self-healing. And it's something that we have such preciousness and we need to use it. Okay? So, we just do now the practice on the quick version together. And when you go along the practice, you can do the practice with movement, without movement, with recitation, without recitation. Okay, there are different ways how it can be done. So we will now do the practice on a very short way. So you have no excuses that you have no time. Okay. And one advice is that on your daily basis, or weekly basis at least, you dedicate one session for each specific part of the practice. So for example, one day you do the part of refuge with more calm, then the other day you do the part of generating the field of merit, or the other day you do the purification of the elements, and like this, each day you give more calm to one part of the practice. Okay? If you dedicate 1 week for every part of the practice, then you have 52 weeks in a year. Can do a lot. Okay? So we just do briefly the practice. So we sit comfortably with our back straight but not tense. And as we will do now the complete practice, for those that have not received, I think everyone here have received, but it will be also a transmission of the practice at the same time. Shoulders relaxed, head slightly forward, eyes slightly closed. We allow ourselves to be present at the present moment. We have a body of light with a central channel, a left and a right channel. We receive lights and nectars coming from Guru Buddha that cleans our own channels of energy as we do the 9-cycle breathing. Vajra fist, and we follow with the 9-cycle breathing. We can see clearly Guru Buddha in front of us. As we take refuge, generate bodhicitta, with a clear intention to develop our qualities to their maximum potential, to become a Buddha ourselves, in order to help every sentient being to get out of suffering. For that intention, we will do now the practice of self-healing. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Tri Ratnaya, Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla, Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuch, Dage Jinso Gibe Sonamge, Drola Pinchra Sangye Drubrash, Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla, Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuch, Dage Jinso Gibe Sonamge, Drola Pinchra Sangye Drubrash, Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla, Jancho Pardo Dage Jinso Gibe Sonamge, Drola Pinchra Sangye Dru Parasho, Simjen Damjen Dewa Dan Dewe Gyodan Dembra Gyurje, Simjen Damje Dunga Dan Dunga Ge Gyodan Trawara Gyur, Simjen Damje Dunga Mebe Dewa Dan Mi Drewara Gyurje, Simjen Damje Nirinch, Nidan Drewe Tan Yumla Nebra Kyurche, Simjen Damje Lusimgi Dunga Le Soshin Trayun Lusen Dewa Dan Dembra Gyurje, Simjen Dam NgalSo Topchin Chinan Nuchu Koryo Tanshin Sangmara Ne Gyurche, Simjen Damje Dan Zambu Linge Kendro Tat Shinangi Shide Dan Tukun Dembra Kyurche, Tamche Duni Sashit Singmala Somepa Dan Lakde Tanyam Bendori Ranshin Chamburane Gyurche Al-Hadami Chebete Ngosum Shadam Yikit Quinsan Chitrin Lana Me Namke Kangun Kyap Gyurche Om Namo Bhagavate Benza Sarva Pramadane Tatagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Benze Maha Tetsa Benze Maha Vidya Mahabodhi Chitta Benze Mahabodhi Mandupa Sangramana Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodana Benze Swaha Kuncho Sungi Dembadan Sangedan Janj Chingi Labdan Tsoni Yonso Zobe Ngadan Chimbodan Chiki Yin Nambra Takchin Samgi Mikyape Topgi Tishini Tu Kyurch Malu Simje Kungi Kungyurchi Dude Pungche Mize Chumzela Ngona Malu Yanda Kingyur Chumden Korche Nedir Sheksu So Gosungube Gone Chatselo Ngosha Yiru Choba Malub Tome Nesa Dikun Tamchesha Kibra Gewa Namla Jair Korwa Maton Bardu Lekshune Drola Chiki Korlo Korwa Dang Dashengenan Chancho Chemborango Sashi Peki Chukshi Meto Tran Rirablin Shinyi Degem Sangye Shindu Mikde Shinla Chabrasho Yedam Guru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryata Yami Locho Sambo Pagyo Trashipa Tuche Tembe Trinle Yarngot Pege Drolo Zambe Zebrache Panden Lame Shabla Sowade Oma Guru Vajradara Suma Timoni Shasane Kar Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hung Hung Oma Guru Buddha Siddhi 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 Hung E Yama Rama Lambam Ho Shuddhe Shuddhe Svoha Oma Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha Pamle Pema Chango, Pamle Pema Chango, Pamle Pema Serpo, Pamle Pema Serpo, Pamle Pema Ngompo, Pamle Pema Ngompo, Pamle Pema Marpo, Pamle Pema Marpo, Pamle Pema Karpo, Pamle Pema Karpo. Om Ahum Tramari. Rile Natso Dorje Changur Tramle Norbo Serpo Tram
hong le dorje ngombo hong ale pema marpo a om le korlo karpo om korlo nanse dorje a pema che dorje hong dorje mikyo dorje tram norbu rinchun dorje re natso dorje tunyun dorje lama tunyun dorje ke om moga siddhi hong lama rinchun dorje ke om ratna sambhava hong lama mikyo dorje ke om akshobhya hong lama che dorje ke om amitabha hong lama nangze dorje ke om aveirochana hong om mani peme 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 hong om mahasukha 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 hong om Vishwa Shanti hong. Lama kunjo sumla kyepsu chi rangnila se dotri sungne chu donga chu sun nircho tat gecho kundu chishin rodun chi dorna dit chinye sakpa tei nyurtu da norbu banzo shamba larki lame lamge rimba tarchin sho nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delek ninsen dakdo delek pe kuncho sumki ngodrupso kuncho sumki trashi shun. Okay, so in this way we did a short version of self-healing. More than short, a quick version of self-healing because it's complete. It's possible to be done also even faster. It's possible to be done even without recitation once you get familiarized with every step of the practice clearly. And the important thing is to do it. In your time, in your moment. We have the video done by Rinpoche, which is very beautiful with special blessings. There is the video which I made some time after. Actually, when I made that video, I requested Rinpoche so many times to record him doing it. But Rinpoche at the time, he said no, he was like faithful to Marco Columbro. No? So he said, no, that's the video, I'm not doing it again. So finally, okay, then he said, you do. So I did the other video, which is a bit shorter, which for sometimes it fits better. We need to do in different ways. And just to conclude, when we go deeper into a practice, to train ourselves well into it, we do it also in 3 steps. First, we get familiarized, acquainted with the practice at a middle length. Not too short, not too long. Once we get acquainted with the practice on a middle length, then we go on the long length. We do on many details. We add all the details, we go deep into it, we make it in much longer and in details. When we get familiarized with the practice in a long version, then we do the short version without losing the details of the long version. Okay? This is how it's done normally. So actually, short versions are for advanced practitioners. Normally, we see it in the other way around, okay? So, but we can also do the short version if we are starting, no problem. But just to say, that's the process. So, this is a gift which I receive and I share with you, which is self-healing.
And what we just did now is also as a transmission of the practice for those that had not received before. Rinpoche also gave the permission to do the practice without needing necessarily to go through all the preliminaries. But I see that the preliminaries are also very important. So it's important if you can put the two together, the practice is more complete. And there will be so many other things to say, and that's wonderful because we have still a long time to go together. And it's not something of one moment. Okay? So this is mainly everything for this time. And I feel very grateful to all of you to have the opportunity to be here together, to share such preciousness of the practice together. We did these days in a very spontaneous way. I had actually no idea what I would be explaining from the first day I came, And then I just allowed somehow to flow and to teach without hurry. And I think this is very important also because I feel sometimes where there is the pressures, I need to explain everything from day 1 to day 7. It doesn't work so much. But we have a lifetime together, and few lifetimes together. Hopefully after few we are done, but at least few lifetimes together we have, and afterwards also, but then we don't need to worry. But so I like that we could take some time to do it with calm, to go on details of some aspects, because what we need is to go deeper, is not to understand everything at once. Okay, so this is the conclusion. Then I just like to take the opportunity to say something on a somehow more practical level, is the practice that we do, it's not something which was just invented here and brought here. It's part of a whole lineage. It's part of something which is much more wider than Albagnano. Okay? And we have people that have been keeping also tradition and keeping the lineage and keeping the practice, dedicating their life for that. And as every interaction brings transformation, I think when we interact with people that dedicate their life to practice and have a deeper level of understanding, we transform ourselves. And when they interact with people that are new in Dharma with the freshness and the enthusiasm and looking from different perspectives that is happening here in the West, it's also transforming them in a positive way. So this is one of the reasons why I have invited so many lamas and geishas and monks to come here. Okay, I know it's a bit crazy what we are doing. From a very mundane perspective, few people came to me which have a little bit more intimacy to me and say, most probably many people have this thought, but few came to me to say, but Lama, why are we paying for more than 60 plane tickets? We don't have the money for that, I know. So why are we doing it? What's the point? The point is that one thing, I allow myself to follow my intuition, first thing. Second, this interaction is very precious for both us and those that come. Okay? So in a way, we are giving a big gift to us and to them. So all those that are coming. So please, we need to take advantage and use this period in the best of our opportunities. Okay? So we will have here many lamas coming, many geishas. All those that are coming are mainly the ones that actually have already completed all the at least 20 years of study of Dharma, have been there. It's like la crème de la crème of the monastery. They choose the best ones that are coming here, okay? And so this is something that is very special that we can have this opportunity, create this connection, also because we are in a moment where there is a change of generation, which is a fact. So we need to connect with the new generation. Because, for example, for many years, many lamas would come here. The Lama Ganche Rinpoche had a very special connection with them. Why? Because they grew up together. Because they were receiving teachings together in India, so there was so many connections. But now the new generation, many of them I know when I studied in India and so on, but we need to create moments together. We need to create this connection in a way. It's important for all of us, for them that are coming and for us that are receiving here. Okay? So please, what I request is that we take advantage of this period. We receive all these people that are coming, our guests, in the best of our abilities. Okay? This is one thing. So I request also from the side of everyone we participate in the best that we can. We take the best opportunity that we have during this period that we are here together. For example, we will be doing Ramne Chemo. We'll be doing the Sand Mandala. And it's like not just as an artistic thing, truly with all the meditation and everything and so on. I'm sorry, but it's done in a very, let's call, traditional way that many of you will not understand, but you can feel the energy, you can do the presence, and if you are there and you just do the practice of self-healing, it's the same thing, just easier, in a way, okay? So, be there together, participate. There will be the Ramne Chemo, which is a very special practice, which Rinpoche put a lot of emphasis. We will be doing it in a very special way, which normally takes 3 days, we will be doing 6 days. We repeat the main day 3 times, okay? So we do really in the best way, especially also we are living in a particular difficult moment, okay, in the context in which we are, okay? There is war going on. There is lack of awareness of the relationship between one's own behavior and the environment and society, okay? So, then we leave the consequences in the environment and so on. The issues related to in the environment are not just technical issues. One thing that whenever we talk about the environment mostly is not taken into consideration is that there are beings that live in nature. We can call them elementals, we can call them spirits, we can call them whatever names we like to give to them. Once we harm their houses, they get upset. So this generates many different types of sicknesses, mainly mental sicknesses. So I am quite sure that many of the mental issues that we have nowadays are connected also with the pollution of the environment. This is on different levels, okay, but that's another subject. So, what to do when things go bad? No, we talked about this before. I don't want to be long, but when things go bad, where should we put the energy? No, we are here. Suddenly it goes like this. Where should we put the energy? The other side. Okay? So we should all go to the other side and pull. So when things are bad, we need to put energy into something positive, something good. There is a saying in Tibetan which says, Tsampa zona torma tons. It says, when the tsampa, which is the barley that you used to eat, when it's finishing, then you offer a torma. You make an offering instead of eating. Which basically means when you have nothing, then you should give, because it's by giving that it comes back, that you receive. It is saying that when there is a moment of war, when there is conflict, when there is famine, when there is pandemic, when there is sickness, we need to put energy into something virtuous and positive. We need to go on the other side. Our tendency is we point the finger to what is negative and we try to blame those that we think they're to blame. And finally, we are just putting energy in the same direction, pulling down. We need to put energy in the opposite direction. So generate positive energy. If there is hatred, we need to put energy in love. If there is conflict, we need to put energy into harmony, into respect, into gratitude. We need to put energy into the positive way. So this is one of the reasons why we are doing all that we do. So please, in this moment, we need to focus ourselves. All these prayers that we will do, it's done for that direction. And all the prayers and the practices that we'll be doing during these 2 months, basically what I did, I created a program which is based mainly on the healing practices that Rinpoche received from Kyabche Son Rinpoche and that Rinpoche was mostly doing. And one of the gurus of Rinpoche, Kyabche Son Rinpoche, he was saying, if you don't do healing practices, philosophy is not enough, The healing practices are very necessary because you need to deal on a growth level also with things. Then one thing gives support to the other. So it is said that Kyabche Son Rinpoche, if there was a teaching and then suddenly there was a puja of some healing practice, he would choose always the healing practice other than the teaching. He would give more importance to that. So Rinpoche was doing a lot of that and was doing a lot of emphasis on that. So we are calling all these practitioners to be here with us, and together we'll be doing all these healing pujas also, which I think is very important for all of us on many levels. Okay? So, with joy, we put energy into something positive in a moment in which, on a personal level, everything is going quite well for all of us here in Albagnano level. On outside world level, things are in a little complicated moment, let's put it this way. So we need to put energy into something positive, okay? So that's why we invest into that. So we invest our time, we invest our energy, our attention, our presence. And in order to make all that happen, last but not least, we also have financial expenses to do all of that to happen, you know. And to be very open and sincere from the organization part of the center, when I said we do this, everybody looked to me saying, you are crazy. I said, okay, if this is being crazy, let's be crazy. In the simple sense that, you know, the numbers do not match. Okay? So I have done it believing that all together we can make it happen, because it's not done for one or two persons. So I request everyone, please, we participate according to our own abilities, in whatever way we can. We are doing this not for one person or for two, for all of us, on so many levels. So please, we put our energy in whatever way we can, also materially, whoever have the possibility, whatever is your possibility. I always remember when I was talking with the abbot of Dhammakaya in Thailand, and they built this incredible monument. No? They make this stupa, which is incredibly beautiful, 300,000 images of Buddha outside. And they said that there was one sponsor that came in the beginning and offered $50 million to build it. I said, I will pay for everything. And the abbot said, no, thank you. The abbot said, this temple is not of one person. It must be done with the energy of all the Sangha together. So he said, we need everybody to put energy together in order to make it happen. You know? So the same thing, we are doing something special. We need to put all of us the energy. It doesn't matter how much. It's like our friend Shirley is coming day after tomorrow. It's the first time she will see the temple built. She offered 2 million euros to build a temple. No? And it was because of her that I got the trust, okay, I can make it. Otherwise we started, there was not money even to pay the architect. No? And then I said, okay, and then we went on to it. And when I went to thank her, I said, oh, really, thank you so much. And she looked at me and she said, you know why I gave 2 million euros to build a temple? She said, because I see all the other people from the Sangha, each one giving the best in their abilities. And you know what's the difference between me and them? I am rich, they are not. I just have more money. That's the only difference. So don't say thank you to me because I haven't done anything more than others. One level, not. On another level, yes. Okay? On a, let's say, very material, practical level, it makes a difference. But on the most profound level, she's correct. Okay? So, in this way, when we are doing now this moment of inviting all these people, these practitioners, geshes, lamas, monks to come, with something that we need to do all together. So independently of the amount we put, of what we do, it's nice if everybody can participate together. And whenever someone asks me, how much should I give? Of time, of energy, of money, or whatever, my answer is always what I always, the answer I give to myself. We should always give what is not too much and is not too less. And this we only can know. Okay, from our side. And the joy to participate together into something so special. Okay. Sorry that we made long and I added something, all of this in the end. But we need to find a moment to say these things also. And normally I don't like to mix practical things with teachings. I think it doesn't really fit so well together. But we need also to find a moment to talk and to share things together. And what is coming next week, it's not something small, it's something quite big. You know, we were making the numbers, so in the Gompa, all lamas, geshes, monks, we are around 100 people. Okay? So we will be a bit packed in a nice way, but I think it's very good. Also, NgalSo Rinpoche called yesterday saying they're coming from Rapten Choling with a bus of all the monks and everyone coming from Switzerland also. So we'll have a very special moment for all of us. So please, we participate in the best of our abilities, each one doing their own part on it. Okay? We do our final dedication. Sashi puki chushi meto tran rab lin shini de gemba de sangye shindu mikte ulwargi dragunam da shingla chopra sho jetsun lame kutse rab tenchi namkara chinle chok churge padan losan tembe drume sasum Drove munse taktu ne gyur chi yedam Guru ratna mindrala kam niryatayami Kewa kundu yanda lama dang Drame cheki pela longche chin Sadang lamge yunten rab Dorje change kopa nyurtobsho Nimo dele tsendele Nime kuyan delek shin Ninsen taktu delek pe Kuncho sumki jingi lob, kuncho sumki trashi sho. Mi me tserwe terchen chere. Drime kempe wampo jampe liang duopong malu jom tse sangwe da Kanchen kepe tsogen tsong kapa lo san trakpe shabla asol wande. Oma hun Lama Sangye Rinpoche, Kyoba Lama Tamche Rinpoche, Drimba Lama Gendur, Kyamne Kuncho Sumla Chepabu, Lojo Sambo Pagyu Treshipa, Tuche Tempe Trinle Ya, Pegyedo Lozam, Panden Lama Shela Chepabu. Buon appetito. Grazie a tutti.